It's time for the Nina versus Barney slugfest round 2. Barney Frank, when he sees Nina's name on anything, he needs to turn, run, and hide. Anytime Barney Frank has any type of a dual interview with Nina, it's like he brings a knife to a gunfight. Here is the latest dual interview with Barney and Nina.
Joining us now, Barney Frank, former congressman from Massachusetts, Hillary Clinton supporter, and Nina Turner, former Ohio state senator and a Bernie Sanders supporter. Barney Frank, I want to start with you tonight, and I don't normally talk about polls. I prefer to talk about issues, but there's the electability issue, which has been argued throughout this campaign, and the Clinton campaign has argued that she is basically more electable in the general election than Bernie Sanders. The polls don't support that. But that was the argument that was made by the Clinton campaign against the Obama campaign in 2008. They were wrong then. Do you think that's an important argument for the Clinton campaign to be leaning on, or is it just something that they should ignore and stay with issues?
It's a factor. I admire your desire to talk about issues. I hope you get back to it. The only one who thinks that she would have a better chance in November as things evolve. So do the Republicans. You will notice, and this is one of the reasons why her negatives are high, the Republicans have focused on her. They've been trying to weaken her. It is clear they would love to have Senator Sanders. Senator Sanders legitimately complained early on he wasn't getting enough attention, but there's this flip side to that for him, in that the negatives against him that the Republicans will be able to use. Now, let me say, if he's a nominee, I will be an enthusiastic campaigner for him. But on the other hand, there are negatives the Republicans can use. But I also am troubled by Senator Sanders' increasing negative turn in this campaign, including not just on the issues, but saying that Hillary Clinton can't be trusted. In the first place, the arguments he used would apply to Barack Obama, obviously. They would have applied to Senator Ted Kennedy. I can't think of a liberal leader, a Democrat who was fighting hard for change, Nancy Pelosi, John Lewis, any, who wouldn't be disqualified in that same argument. And here's the reason I think they made you in the polls. If you ask the Clinton people, overwhelmingly, they will tell you they're going to vote for Sanders, and they approve of Sanders. I am disappointed, and the New York Times mentioned this, I think there's been a turn in the Sanders rhetoric away from the issue differences, more to claiming that somehow she's going to be soft and not prosecuted because she's been corrupted by money for which she has no evidence. And so a lot of the Sanders people are saying they wouldn't vote for Clinton. In other words, and I think that will turn over. I think, well, people are angry now. When you get to November, that's going to change. Hillary Clinton, to her credit, made very sure in 2008 that women who were disappointed that she didn't get the nomination voted for Barack Obama. And if Hillary Clinton is nominated, I'm hoping Senator Sanders will do the same, but he'd make it harder for himself by the sharp edge of his rhetoric.
Nina Turner, go ahead.
Well, Lawrence, I mean, some of what the Democratic Party has to realize, what we all have to realize, is that this is a disruption election. That people on both the left and the right are tired of the status quo. They're tired of establishment-type politics. And the fact that some of Senator Sanders' supporters are saying overwhelmingly that they will not support the secretary has more to do with their commitment and loyalty to Senator Bernie Sanders and not a commitment and loyalty to a political party. People are fed up with it, and parties exist to support the people. Senator Bernie Sanders has been honest, and he has been consistent throughout his career. He has been a champion, and he hasn't changed his mind based on convenience. So there's nothing to be confused or concerned about. Every single vote must be earned. So whether it is Senator Sanders who is the victor or whether it's Secretary Clinton, they both have to earn the other people's votes. And the Democratic Party would be wise to not just assume that people are just going to come one person's way or another just because of a party allegiance.
Barney Frank,
I'm surprised.
Go ahead, Barney.
I'm surprised at that comment. We're not talking about
Well, don't
party
be
allegiance.
surprised.
I'm sorry, please let me respond. I am not just talking about party allegiance. I'm talking about who gets to name the Supreme Court justice. If a Democrat wins, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, we'll get Citizens United overturned. We'll get Roe v. reversed. Campaign finance. We have to get the Supreme Court. Will the minimum wage be raised? The fact is there are real differences between the parties, and you say the establishment. No, John Lewis is not the establishment. Congressman John Lewis. Every member, every gay and lesbian member is for Hillary Clinton. Overwhelmingly, the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus are for Hillary Clinton. Planned Parenthood is for Hillary Clinton. These aren't people in the establishment. Now, I
hate to break the news to him, but those are the people in the Democratic establishment. And for him to bring up the Congressional Black Caucus, I wouldn't support those motherfuckers if I, as far as I could throw them, and I can't throw them at all. They don't even support their own. Case in point, they are supporting a white Democratic male, Mr. Van Hollen, versus one of their own, which is Donna Edwards. So you tell me about the Congressional Black Caucus giving their support to Hillary Clinton. That's a bunch of bullshit. Those guys have all fallen in line behind the establishment, looking to get whatever crumbs they're going to pick up if they stick with her and she gets elected. That's a bunch of bullshit. So, Barney, you lose on that one again.
All vote for Sanders. But the point is that we believe she has been and will be a more effective change agent.
We're going to squeeze in a quick break here, and Nina will come back with your response right after this. More with Barney Frank and Nina Turner after this break. We're back with Hillary Clinton supporter Barney Frank and Bernie Sanders supporter Nina Turner. And Nina Turner, you were in mid-sentence when we went to that commercial. Go ahead.
I was, Lawrence. I just find it amazing that the congressman continues to bring up the Black Caucus. This is the same Black Caucus who in 2008, most of the members did not support then Senator Barack Obama. They didn't believe he had the experience or the momentum, but momentum won in the end. These are the same folks now who are now riding the coattails of now President Barack Obama. Let's talk about what can be accomplished and what Senator Bernie Sanders has accomplished throughout his career. It is really quite shameful that the Clinton campaign is trying to disqualify him based on the fact of the matter is that as mayor of Burlington, he got a lot done. As a congressman, he got a lot done. We know that he was considered the amendment king from 1995 to 2000 because he had more floor amendments than any other member of Congress getting things done. And let's talk about, again, that veterans bill that he worked hand in hand with Senator John McCain. So Senator Bernie Sanders can get things done. What he is refusing to do is settle for incremental progress. When people are poor, when they are down and out, when they need help, when they need uplift, they want somebody that is not going to equivocate. They want somebody that's going to be a champion, and that champion is Senator Bernie Sanders. And we have to understand that in today's environment, with a corrupt campaign finance system, with a rigged economy, that people are looking for that kind of leader that says yes on 15, not yes on 12, and then stand up next to the governor of New York to sign one for 15. Somebody that is going to go out on the picket line, but also knows how to get things done in their official capacity, and that's Senator Bernie Sanders. There's no doubt about it, and that's why nationally, going head-to-head against every single Republican, Senator Bernie Sanders beats every Republican, leaps and bounds ahead of Secretary Clinton. So if Democrats want to win in November, they need to make sure that the nominee is Senator Bernie Sanders.
Barney Frank, you mentioned earlier that when Bernie Sanders criticizes Hillary Clinton's fundraising methods for her campaign, those are the same methods used by honorable politicians like Ted Kennedy, Barack Obama, John Lewis, Nancy Pelosi. Those are the names you mentioned. But not one of them ever took $1 in a speaking fee from Goldman Sachs, never mind $22 million in speaking fees over a 2-year period, because, as you know, for every one of them, that would have been illegal. That would have got them expelled from the House of Representatives or expelled from the Senate. Why is it, if this money is so innocent, if it is so innocent to make more in 1 hour than a senator's yearly salary in a speech to Goldman Sachs, if that's innocent, why can't senators do it? Why can't members of Congress do it?
Oh, you can't do the notion that you have the same freedom to earn money outside of Congress and in. That surprises me, Lawrence. I think for rhetorical purposes, you posed a question you know the answer to. There are very strict rules and limits of what you can do as a member of Congress.
But Barney, what I'm asking is,
sorry, Lawrence, I want to respond.
why do we have those limits, and why wouldn't Hillary Clinton have observed them for herself?
She did observe them for herself. This is more the suggestion that somehow she did something wrong. Yes, she did observe them for herself. She did not take a penny. She abided by the rules when she was there. Many.
Okay, so now he's equivocating because she did not observe them. What obviously Lawrence is saying is, if you're a congressperson, you can't take that money. She knew she was going to run for president. She took the money anyway, knowing that she was going to run. So she didn't abide by the same rules as elected officials. True, she was not an elected official, but she knew she was going to become an elected official. So Barney's over here trying to mix apples and oranges. Lawrence is saying they couldn't take the money. Why? Because it would be considered influence peddling. So she shouldn't have taken the money because it would be considered influence peddling. It's the same damn thing. And he's going to try to spin around it.
Members of Congress, when they leave, do things that they are legally allowed to do. The rule is that you do not want the actual decision-making being influenced. By the way, on the question, and I thought Senator Bash asked a very good question to Senator Sanders, point to one example where Hillary Clinton's having taken money, campaign or otherwise, influenced her policy, and he couldn't come up with one. He had no answer to that. In fact, there's an ad that he has, which really troubles me because it's McCarthyite. It says, oh look, Goldman Sachs wasn't sufficiently punished. And then it says, in effect, no wonder. People get speaking fees from Goldman Sachs. There is zero connection there. Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, well before she took speaking fees, had no control over that. That's an attack on the Obama administration. And while we're at it, I do want to respond how disappointed I am.
Okay, let me stop right there. And I am going to attack the Obama administration on this. Obama took money from Wall Street. Wall Street blew up the economy. Wall Street was investigated by the Justice Department. Wall Street was found wanting in that investigation. Wall Street was issued fines in the amount of, I believe it was about $5 billion, i.e. Chase and some other banks. Well, that was just Chase. Other banks have to come up under scrutiny as well. Why am I saying this? Because to the level that the Wall Street personnel conspired, we're talking about the CEOs of the companies, that was criminal. But not one person went to jail, and they knew exactly what the hell they were doing. So what I'm saying is, Wall Street paid off the politicians, building up a safety net so that in the event that something went down, which they knew sooner or later it was, they had a dependable ally, i.e. Obama, the Justice Department, etc., that weren't going to throw the book at them. They were just basically going to slap their shareholders, and not even their shareholders, but their depositors on the wrist, because it's the depositors that end up paying that $5 billion that JP Morgan Chase is going to have to pay. So he's full of shit. Now, as an example of something that did go down, Hillary Clinton voted against the bankruptcy law, which would have given consumers more protections in the bankruptcy courts. So if you want an example of how money has basically influenced someone, there you have it.
An attack on the Obama administration.
I'm sorry. It was
why do you guys continue to bring up?
Lawrence, may I continue?
President Obama is not running for the presidency of the United States of America again. He's not
Lawrence,
running.
what are the rules here?
All right,
let me say,
go ahead, Barney.
That's obviously a vulnerability. Obviously a vulnerability that Ms. Turner feels because she was trying to bring in Obama. The point is this: if you attack the people who did not bring charges against Goldman Sachs or any others, or didn't do them sufficiently, you're attacking the Obama administration. They were in charge of this. The president had appointed the attorney general. That was the Obama administration. And I was very sorry to hear her denigrate the Congressional Black Caucus. And frankly, I'm troubled by
I
this.
did
It
not
sounds to me
denigrate
like
the
some-
Congressional Black
Please,
Caucus.
you just, I'm sorry, please, Lawrence, what are the rules about the interruptions?
Oh, my
I wish you
God.
wouldn't do that. I heard you would denigrate the Black Caucus. You said, oh, they were just riding the coattails. You just said that. Go back and look at your transcript. But what I'm afraid of is, and this is part of the problem, that the Sanders campaign, their frustration, and by the way, Hillary Clinton got many more votes than Senator Sanders up to date. She can get more tomorrow. I hope Senator Sanders doesn't evolve into Ralph Nader, and that people don't forget what happened in 2000, and we don't again lose a chance to take over the Supreme Court and make social progress because of this kind of absolutism.
All right, we are out of time for tonight. I just want to clarify, Barney, we kind of talked past each other for a moment there. When we come back to this subject again, I do want to talk about the speaking fees and what I'm saying about it, what I'm questioning.
Sorry, but why would you bring that up when I can't answer it?
Lawrence, and I in no way denigrated.
All right. I'm going to say good night to the guests. Nina Turner and Barney Frank, thank you both very much for joining us.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate it. We will continue this conversation on another night.
All right, what I hate about this is Barney Frank in this interview and the previous interview always ended up getting the last word. And I think Lawrence needs to make sure in the next one, because you know another one is coming, that she's able to get the last word. Now, she didn't denigrate the Congressional Black Caucus. What she said was they basically sided with the Clintons in 2008, and then when Obama got in, they rode his coattails. So if you want to call that denigration, okay, fine. They denigrated him because look what they did. They rode Obama's coattails. Okay, and as far as Barney Frank's concerned, he, did not and cannot answer the question properly about since Congress cannot take money for speaking fees because it would be considered, it would be considered graft. Why is Clinton able to take money for speaking fees? It's basically the same thing. No politician who is considering public office should take speaking fees for anyone. Now, if campaign contributions is one thing, speaking fees is money that goes directly into your pocket. If you take speaking fees from any industry, you should not be allowed to be a politician, especially the major industries like the Wall Street, oil and gas, NRA, etc. Because laws that are going to be made and signed into effect need to be on the up and up with clean hands and no sign whatsoever of tampering by the industries that are being regulated or legislated for or against.
I was making about the speaking fees was simply this. If they are a completely innocent exercise, if you can go and easily give speeches to big banks and corporate interests and all of that, and it's a totally innocent exercise to do that, and no one should ever be suspect or questioning what's involved in that, then why? Why did we ever make it against the rules for senators and congressmen and presidents or any federal official to do that? That was my simple point. I think it's a larger discussion that we don't have time for tonight. It isn't particularly relevant to where this discussion is right now in the campaign, but it is a larger discussion. We'll have it another time. Up next.
Exactly. He made the point. And Barney Frank obviously didn't want to address that specific point because it just makes sense.